treating each other with respect and having the best interest for everybody else and taking personal responsibility for representing that concept to the absolute best of our ability every single day. That is exactly what has happened in China.
Hello amazing viewer, this is Comfort for Life. I bring to you a compilation of TikTok videos together with famous channel show videos for educational purposes. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and to my returning viewers, I love and appreciate you for your immense love, continued support. I love you. Don't take it for granted. Let's dive into today's video. Before we go further, I would let us listen to this video and let me know what you think.
Ni hao, Xiaohongshu. I have noticed on Xiaohongshu that there are a lot of questions about race in America. And yeah, I know I'm a white guy, but allow me to address it. The United States is a deeply, deeply racist country. Racism is foundational to the society. It was founded by white men, white Anglo-Saxon men who came over to this continent and basically dispossessed and enslaved as many native people as they possibly could. And then when those people died, they replaced them with African slaves that they imported. They were also bringing over poor white people from Europe, and they were making them indentured servants. At a certain point, these poor populations realized they had more in common with each other than they did with the masters who were running their lives and abusing them, so they sought to make common cause. And American-style racism basically was created as a way to keep these groups from joining. And it's been working really well ever since. Speaking personally, in my experience, I define racism as having a power component to it. So by my definition, it is impossible for a black person to be quote unquote racist. They can be prejudiced, they can be bigoted, they could be disgustingly, they can have disgusting opinions, but racism presupposes that it is someone at the top of the power structure holding someone else who's lower in the power structure down, through using the systems that we have in place, our social systems. Interestingly, we have been better at talking about race lately, but I think there is a secondary effect that is going on with this. In America for the last, I'd say 10 years now, we have been using discussions of race to paper over discussions of class. This is how you can see billionaires basically doing things that they think shows that they are not racially prejudiced, but at the same time, they are completely deaf to any class discussions, if that makes sense. Because in their minds, they believe by showing that they aren't racist, or they are less racist, or they are aware of their racism in one way or another, they must be good people. This brings me to another observation. In my experience, wealthy liberal people can be more racist than wealthy conservative people in a strange way. And that is because wealthy liberal people think that they aren't, and wealthy conservative people know that they are. Wealthy conservative people are aware of their racism because they use it, they enjoy it, they like it. Wealthy liberal people are in denial, and therefore they do more outwardly racist things sometimes. And they do it unconsciously, and when you call them out for it, they get very offended and very upset. Okay, now that we're deep into the minefield, I'm curious as to how these sorts of things play out in China. In America, class consciousness has been non-existent my entire life. It feels like it's starting up a little bit recently. Luigi is a big part of this, I think. I am curious how this seems to you from your perspective, where I believe class consciousness has been integral to the way you define yourselves as Chinese. Also, these are all just my opinions. I'm just a guy. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not an academic. I'm just someone who notices things and forms opinions. So I could be wrong. You could disagree with me. That's all fine. Okay, thank you. Shisha. Because whiteness in America was invented as sort of like the default by which all other groups are judged. White Americans never really have to learn anything about themselves, investigate themselves, do anything really in order to be gifted with all of the benefits of being a white American. For a lot of white Americans, though, that's not enough. Like me, myself, and my family, like I grew up as like a white kid in a predominantly black area, and that led me to question, wait a minute, what is white? I remember distinctly having the thought that, oh wait, I guess Irish is white, but we're not Irish. My family, my father's side of the family is like Transylvanian, probably mostly Romanian. My mother's side of the family is like Polish and Belarusian. I'm an Eastern European, like my family was Eastern Europeans. And in the town that I grew up in my grandmother's time, there was a lot of discrimination against Eastern Europeans from other whites. At that point, Slavs and Eastern Europeans were not considered white. They were called hunkies. And in fact, they used to say, don't leave a pie out on the sill because some hunky will come by and eat it. Hunky is what led to the word honky. Somewhere between my grandparents' generation and my parents' generation, though, these Eastern Europeans in my family just became white people, and like people stopped asking questions about it mostly. Cut to my generation, and I'm trying to figure out who the hell I am and what the fuck is going on. And I wound up dating a Romanian girl and going over there and spending like 3 months there the first time I went, just fully immersed. And I got to experience European culture as an American who knows nothing, basically like a baby. And what I learned from that is that European culture has, as all cultures do, have obligations associated with them. Like you need to know the language, you need to know the stories, you need to know the recipes, you need to know the songs, you need to know the dances. And if you've grown up in this culture, those things come very, very easily to you. But if you didn't, it takes a lot of effort to try to acquire them. And that is precisely the thing that white Americans have never been asked to do once in their lives. In fact, American whiteness can be completely defined as a state of never having to do anything hard. That's the meaning behind the Trump promise of in the last election of saying, oh, you only have to vote for me one more time. You'll never have to do it again, because voting is apparently perceived as an inconvenience. It's hard. It's a pain in my ass to go do. And honestly, I would say this is probably part and parcel of the reason why Americans are so much fatter than Europeans, because Americans don't want to do anything hard. They don't have, white Americans don't have to, do I have to? And part of this whole like xenophobic turn that this country is taking, just part of it, is the fact that like white Americans now see the rest of the world looking down their nose at them, and they're kind of feeling that, and they're like, well, fuck you too then. Fuck you. And they're getting all hurt and they're getting all grumpy instead of doing any fucking work whatsoever. Right? So this does not bode well for the future of this country at all. If not doing anything hard trumps literally any amount of cruelty that may be inflicted on others, we got problems.
I want you to imagine that we've been doing this. We've been doing this country thing, this civilization thing, for like 5,000 years. Throughout that time period, there have been ups and downs, oppression, absolute insanity, just like awful things have happened. 5,000 years later, you just kind of as a collective society decide like, I'm over that. I don't think that's working for us, and there's just been too much pain, there's been too much bloodshed, there's just been too much negativity. Why don't we all just get on board with treating each other with respect and having the best interest for everybody else and taking personal responsibility for representing that concept to the absolute best of our ability every single day? That is exactly what has happened in China, which has led to that particular system of government. When we think of communism, we think of oppression, we think of no choice, we think that the government is controlling everything and the people just have to like shut up and take it. But that's not really the case. I want you to imagine it a different way. Imagine that everybody wants to attend a school, and we understand that in order to serve the students in the school, there needs to be some authoritarian element. There needs to be teachers, right? And we understand and have the integrity and the trust and the understanding that those teachers are going to have the best interest of the kids the entire time. kind of like we do now when we send our kids to school, right? Now, in order for this classroom to function properly, there needs to be a certain level of respecting that authority so that each individual student doesn't step out of line or cause a bunch of disturbances. Like, you have to respect that authority, but you do it with the understanding that all of the rules and all of the things that are in place are with the child's best interest. Which, if you think about it, that's what we thought that we were doing when we put in a democratic system, is that we were going to elect representatives who would have the best interest of their constituency. They would be able to go out there and they would be able to vote in favor of the students so that they would get what they needed and live a happy life and be protected. Unfortunately, that form of government is easily corruptible, as is the other one. But now let's take it back to the 5,000 years of civilization we're over kind of model, where the people in power, they're like that. We've tried that, and it's never worked out for anyone. So now you've got a government system that's actually doing the thing that was promised in like this ideal kind of idea of what are we going to do with all these people and how are we all going to get along and how can we all band together in some way so that everybody is taken care of on a basic human level needs, basic human needs level.
So I am still on Xiaohongshu, Little Red Book. I never left. I made a couple of videos about, like, you know, my house and just my neighborhood. Well, I didn't do my neighborhood yet, but just my house, my daily life type of shit. And it's blown the fuck up. People have tons of questions about what life is like. They're excited to meet someone who's middle class. For once, I guess that was harder to find for them at first, apparently. And the comments have basically just become an informal real estate convention, which is, you know, interesting. A lot of Chinese people have reached out to me in the DMs, and I've been doing my best to like respond to each and every single one of them. And through this, I have learned that the people in China have the view of Elon Musk that I think everybody in America did in like 2010. Basically, oh, he's this rich philanthropist guy who's trying to make the world a better place by fostering green technology and taking humanity to Mars. And we all know better now, especially now. And honestly, it's breaking on their collected consciousness a little harshly. They are a little depressed about it, I think. I even had one sweet person in my messages suggest that I email Elon Musk personally to remind him that drugs do not solve your problems, which I just think is absolutely adorable. Oh, I feel I should mention, this is another interesting thing. They don't like Elon Musk because they think that he's going to lead them anywhere. No, they like him because they're like, oh, he started the whole electric car train going, to use a mixed metaphor. But yeah, no, Chinese cars, electric cars are way better than his cars now anyway. But we still have to say thank you because he sort of forced us to do that. There's an aspect of relentless positivity with them, which is, you know, in stark contrast to what we have going on here. And I think my takeaway from all of this, one of them, is that, you know, we here, who are on the, I guess I'll say the left, although I don't like saying this left and right. We here who are not being served by this country and this government and this arrangement. We who are not being served by this formation could really use a little bit of the spirit of relentless optimism, of only focusing on the wins and intensifying them, of constructive criticism, friendliness of spirit, and the belief that absolutely everyone you encounter can and should be improved by your interaction with them. And conversely, maybe you could be improved by your interaction with somebody. I can say for sure that my life has been improved through my interactions with all of these Chinese people who I literally started off the month with not the faintest clue that I would be meeting, conversing with, or you know, this is completely out of left field. It has been rather incredible. And forever long this lasts, I think that everybody who it feels not served by our current formation, I think everybody should try to get on Little Red Book or REDNOTE or Xiaohongshu and just make a few friends. It is an embiggening exercise.
When I was listening to these videos, when I was listening to these clips, I realized that there are Americans who would want to be distinctive of the mass, like they would want to be in their corner, because there's this big picture of America that is being sold to the world that doesn't accommodate every one of them. So they would want to be maybe called differently because they are not part of this great America that is being sold to the world, and the vision of that big America is not picturing them. It's not showing them the picture because they are not living the life. But there are also those Americans who know that America is great because their pockets are full. So I am glad that when Americans felt some kind of separation, they decided, to go to a Chinese app. At least they fell in the hands of people who are advanced and who are living the life that they would desire to live, that they had been lied to, like that they, kind of that the mythology of life that they were promised, is what is the reality of Chinese. And that's why I'm kind of feeling like, most Americans who are saying they are staying on Changhoshu, the reason is that they are finding solace in Chinese. So, and I love Chinese. I've interacted with them even through the comment section. Whenever I read their comments, it's always, they have that sense of humor that is so good. Like, I want to listen to their comments, read them through and through, and even listening to their videos and how accommodative they are. I'm not saying that every Chinese is perfect. There are also dramas that I don't want to bring on my channel because this is a constructive channel. It's for constructive purposes, for educational purposes that I bring videos here. So this is my analysis. So American would want that distinction. They don't want to be looked at as all colonizers, all racists, all, they would want to see that distinction because they are not being pictured in that big picture of great America that the world is selling to us. So that's my thought on this. I don't know what to think about the entire video. That's kind of a snippet of my conclusion. I just want to hear from you. Let me know what you think about this video.